Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. Now you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of anywhere else? And that's because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They say this all the time, they talk down to us, they think we're just a bunch of clowns on YouTube, Twitter. But I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of Undisputed talking about Joel Embiid will indeed return. And I am so excited. I am so pumped. And it's so funny because making these videos, especially with regards to Embiid or Jokic or whoever, a lot of haters of Embiid. And I get it. Maybe if you're not from Philly, if you're not a Philly fan, why maybe Joel Embiid can rub you the wrong way. But some of the comments that I've been seeing are just so outrageous. So I want to see how these guys break it down. I know Keyshawn before said, he was like, Skip, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything. And I feel like Paul Pierce will be a hater as well. And Skip, I think all three of these guys have probably said, Joel Embiid's not going to be able to do anything with them. So, but the truth is, with Joel Embiid, the Sixers were going to be their record was poised to put them, top 3, top 2 in the entire NBA. So they are obviously a great team with him. So this idea that they're not going to be able to be a great team with him now that he's coming back from injury is nonsense. So let's take a listen to see. Maybe they'll surprise me, but let's take a listen and we'll go from there.
Threat to win the East.
I'm just not sure there's enough time, Skip.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a big guy,
yeah.
And with a knee injury, it doesn't matter what you do in your rehab and your big guy and it's your knee. So it's going to take time to get an NBA rhythm and an NBA shape, and I'm just not sure there's enough time for him to do both. See, the Sixers have been playing a certain way for like the last 2-3 months.
Yeah.
And now you go with like 7-8 games left. You got to revert back to learning how to play with Embiid before the playoffs start. So you really got like a week and a half to learn how to play with him, because I'm sure he won't play all the rest of the games. You got to slowly bring him back. I don't know how that's going to work. So out of the 8 games or 9 games, whatever games they got left, he'll probably play 4 or 5 maybe. You don't want to take any chances. I just don't think there's enough time to get him back in shape for them to really be a threat in the Eastern Conference. Now, the East, that's not really saying much, in the East, because the teams at the top, Milwaukee really hasn't scared anybody. The Knicks could be a threat. You got Indiana down there. They can be a possible play-in for them. So, but I just don't think after a knee injury and so many other knee injuries he's had over the years, there's enough time for him to come back and get at that MVP level that he had at the beginning of the year for them to be a serious threat to make a run in the Eastern Conference.
What's a threat, though? Is it a threat?
I mean, just even, I don't think they can even get out the first round.
Yeah, I would agree with you there.
Oh my God. What are you talking about? Right, they can't beat the Knicks? Get out of here, Milwaukee. Or Milwaukee, I could understand. But this idea that they can't even get out the first round if Joel Embiid is fully healthy, guys, okay, they're going to have like 8 games or so. What if this was just the preseason? What if this was the beginning of the season? Okay? Does it take 8 games? Is 8 games not enough for these players to play themselves into shape to finally be there? Because it does. These guys, when you get injured, okay, you recover your conditioning and your muscle strength and size, for that matter, incredibly quickly. It takes a lot more time, like significant, it's not even close, to build it from 0 to whatever, your base, to whatever you're trying to get to. But now let's just use basic numbers, right? Let's say 100 is, right, 100% is who you are. But when you first started off, you never exercised, you never did anything, you started off at 0% of your potential. And now you conditioned, you ran, you worked out, you did all this type of stuff. You now reached 100%, okay? That will take you years to get to, okay? You're at 100%. Now you get injured, and that knocks you down to 50%. You bounce back from 50 to 100 so much faster than it took to get you there in the first place. That's because your muscles and your cardiovascular system, for that matter, already has the cell structure in place. It is really hard to gain muscle mass, okay? It is very hard. But if you already have a muscle that's this big, and then you break your arm or whatever, and you're in a cast, and now it shrinks down, it atrophies, to get it back to being this big again, it'll take a couple months. But if you started off like this in the very first place, getting it back to here will not take you a couple months. It could take you, literally years to get there. It's muscle memory, but not in the way that maybe some of you have heard in the past of muscle confusion and stuff like that. It's just because the way your cells and the muscle fibers themselves, the way how they grow and get conditioned, it's already in place. So this idea that he's not going to be able to be conditioned, or I'm not telling you that he's going to hit the ground and just going to be monster and not have any issues or drawbacks, but this idea that there's not enough time in place, I just think is absurd. Not to mention, he is putting in the work, and it's not like he's just been in the bed for the last couple months doing nothing, and now he's going to be playing. He's been riding that bike since the second or third week out of surgery. That's what happens when you're on the meniscus. So he's been working, and yes, it's not the same thing as running, but I guarantee you he's been on the treadmill, he's been shooting, he's been doing all these things. He hasn't just been sitting on the bench, sitting on his butt, laying in bed, doing nothing. He has been putting in the work. He wants to play in the playoffs. He wants to be here, and, he's an animal in that regard. So this idea that, if you want to just say that you don't think the Sixers are good enough as a whole, I'm more open to that argument rather than you telling me they're not going to be able to do it in time. Joel Embiid is a stud. He's an MVP. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is elite. Elite. Does the NBA even have ballots like that? When I just said first ballot, I don't even know. But he is a Hall of Famer. He is elite, a beast. So this is the same nonsense that they always say about LeBron or Steph or KD, any of these players where they're like, will they be able to play together? Right? Will James Harden be able to play with, Kawhi Leonard and PG-13? And the first few games were rough. And they're like, I told you. And then they find it work, right? KD, will he really be able to play with Steph Curry? What are they going to be able to do? There's only one ball. It worked out pretty well for them. KD got injured. Steph Curry got injured. They were able to bring both those players back at completely separate times and integrate them perfectly. No issue. Steph Curry ended up winning the championship. KD had his knee injured. Right, I think it was his knee at the time. Couldn't come back until the last week or two. I forget exactly what it was. And I think it may have been their first year together or their second year together. I'm not sure. They ended up winning a championship. It definitely wasn't the year that he, tore his Achilles. So this whole idea that these great players aren't able to rise to the occasion and do these great things is just comically absurd to me. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It really, really doesn't. I for the life of me, I don't get why we always doubt these great players. So I'm really excited to see what happens here. I think Joel Embiid will absolutely be able to play himself into shape a lot quicker than people realize. He'll be able to be integrated with the team. Nick Nurse is the real deal. And in fact, I was originally upset with the hire of Nick Nurse. I didn't want him as the head coach. I wanted Monty, honestly. But Nick Nurse has really, really impressed me, has really shown what he can do. The fact that they even just went 14-27 without the Joel Embiid. Let me see what the Lakers do without LeBron James, or what the Warriors do without Steph Curry. It's kind of get out of here. What did the Bucks do without Giannis? And at least they still have Dame in that regard. Or what do the Denver Nuggets do without Jokic? So I think this is going to be a lot more smoother of an integration. Not to mention, the Sixers also got better. They actually acquired better players that Embiid hasn't even been able to play with yet, which one could say, well, that's a bad thing because, they got to learn how to play together. But they're going to be an even better team. And I truly cannot wait. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you think? What do you think we can expect from Joel Embiid and the Sixers when he comes back from his injury? Let me know in the comments below. And please don't forget to subscribe. As I said, we are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.